So you may see people around campus riding one of these, a skateboard, or different variations, different sizes, everything like that. You might have been interested in either learning how to ride one or just learning about how they work, how they're different from a skateboard, from a bike or a scooter or anything like that. Well, I'm here to explain it to you. And it's really not that hard to get into skateboarding, contrary to like what most people will tell you. It doesn't take a lot of skill, it doesn't take a lot of anything to get straight off the basics. It just takes a little bit of practice. It's just like riding a bike. You just got to get used to it. And without further ado, I'm gonna dive right into it. So the number one thing is always, of course, safety first. You can see I'm not wearing a helmet or elbow pads or knee pads or anything like that, because I've been riding for a while, so I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to fall over, or if I do, I know how to fall and how to make it safe for me to fall on the ground and take minimal injury. But it's always good to start off, either be somewhere where you can fall into soft grass or a soft surface as opposed to open concrete, and just try not to get messed up as bad. But the main important thing is to understand what you want from your skateboard, because you're not going to enjoy it and you're not going to like riding it if you don't understand what you want to use it for and what you need to get. So let's get right into that. So the first main thing is the size of the board. What I have right here is a long board, which, you know, obviously it's pretty long. It's about just past from my neck to my just past my waist, around my knees. That's why it's called a longboard. It's long. This isn't great for doing tricks or anything like that. This is great for just cruising around. I have plenty of room to stand and maneuver and everything like that. There's also a number of other kind of boards. There's penny boards, which are the really small, maybe not even this big boards. And then there's regular skateboards, and then there's all kind of in between sizes. So it really depends on what you want and what you want out of it. Penny boards are typically more for like doing small tricks and things like that, whereas regular skateboards can be used to ride around campus or go to and from your dorm or anything like that, but they can also be used to do tricks. And longboards are your best bet if you're just trying to have something to cruise around on, have a skateboard, maybe start off, because this is probably your best bet if you're a starter, because of the fact that it's not much to get used to. You just have to know how to balance and push and make turns on it and lean into it, as opposed to getting used to everything on the penny board or the regular board. And there's a couple things that go into it aside from size of the board too. So you can see right here, I have these are called trucks, and you can, and this little bolt right here, you can loosen or tighten them depending on what you want out of them. It's all dependent on how the user feels. It's the turn of the board. As you can see right here, it's a lot better when it's on the ground, but as you can see, they're pretty tight. I like to ride with them decently tight. Some other people might prefer them really loose, almost to the point where they're about to fall off. It's all based on preference, and this isn't a one set and done thing. You can do this with any board. You can change the tightness of your trucks or the looseness every single time that you ride them, and you can, if you really want to, you can even change the like you can have one of these set tighter than the other if you want to be able to do turns or anything like that. And they also come in a variety of different styles as well on the bottom end, from plain as can be to designs like mine, or even more complicated. And you can even decorate your own. And just these things are really personalizable. I don't know if that's another word that I could use, but anyway. So aside from that, there's also the fact of wheels. So these are the most basic wheels you'll probably see on a longboard. They're wide. They're meant for cruising over gaps and cracks that you might see in the concrete, or just big rocks and things like that. Now, I'm not saying you can take this thing on a gravel road and it'll work just fine, but I am saying that it will take a couple rocks and it'll just keep on riding just fine. Whereas most other skateboards, especially the ones that are made for tricking or things like that, they tend to have thinner wheels, maybe about this thick, about maybe 1/3, even less of the thickness of these wheels, which make them harder to ride around, like just for a daily ride, but it does make it a lot easier to do tricks with them, as does the size, as I mentioned before. Now to get into the most important part of the skateboard, learning how to ride it. Once you've made all your considerations and you found the board that fits you best, be it a daily rider or tricks or anything like that, you have to learn how to ride the skateboard. Now I'm gonna keep this very simple. I'm not gonna go into any tricks or how to do flips and all that and ollies and so on and so forth. That's way more advanced than what I'm gonna get into. We're gonna stick to the nice, simple, and basic. So to start off with, I find the best way to do it is you place your dominant foot, so I'm right-handed, so I place my right foot just on top of these two, so the top of my foot goes just on top of these two screws right here, or just behind them for balance. And I use my non-dominant foot to push, and then once you're going, you turn into a surfer's pose. That's why, it's a surfboard. That's kind of the history of the whole thing, but I'm not here to give you a history lesson. So that's exactly what you want to do. You can ride it facing straight forward, but it's just not recommended because it's a lot easier to turn when you're surfer style. But it's a lot easier to start off by pushing, facing directly forward. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to have to back up a little bit here. So you're going to set it down, obviously. And then I'm going to put my dominant foot, my right hand, either just below or right on top of the back screws for my trucks on the front end. And then I'm just going to push and then turn sideways so I can lean into this and turn. Now this might take a little bit of getting used to. Once again, you'll probably have to ride your skateboard a few times before you get the tightness of the trucks right and everything, because that's what keeps you on this board nice and stable. Because if I have these any looser or any tighter, it depends. Like I can lean to the left or to the right here and it tips. So I have that, so that way that's what I'm comfortable with when I'm riding my board. So if you don't have them tight enough or loose enough for your liking, it might be difficult for you to stay on balance, which is why you have to take a little time to learn your board and learn what kind of balance you like and what tightness and everything like that. Now on to the more difficult part. So you've got it down that you can balance on your board and you can push and you can start. So now you got to get into turning. And this is a little difficult. Once you've learned to balance, it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's not going to take much longer than it took you to first find a corner that you think you can comfortably take, and then since you can see I'm sitting surfer style on it, and I'm just leaning like that. It's a little hard to do slow, but I'll run that back again for you real quick. Push, surfer stance, and then I can lean back with my hips, or lean forward to turn this way. And now you're getting going. And of course, if you want to stop, there are a number of ways that you can stop as well. If you're going fast or you finally worked up the courage to get some speed. So number one, you have the very obvious one where you just you're cruising and then you put your foot down. And if you're going at a significant speed, it might take a little bit. You might have to do a little hop to slow down, but there's nothing wrong with that. And now the second one is this part right here. So you can see how this end of the board, all of it's flat, and then this end is kind of curved up. That's not just to help you rest your foot back here, but that is also what it's for. You rest your foot kind of right here on this part, but it's also to help you stop. So I'm going to show you that way to stop. So you just kind of come, and then instead of putting your foot down like this, let me back up a little bit here so you get a better view. Instead of that, you just come, and then, and some people also do use this to turn, where they kind of put their foot back, and then pop their board up to get over curbs, but I don't have a curb here obviously. And And it's also just a really easy way to, if you just hopped off your board instead of, for instance, like I just hopped off, like I fell off or something, it's a lot easier to, instead of reaching down to get it, and you kind of look a little stupid, you can just walk over and then pop it right up, and you're good to go. And now we're going to get into some safety considerations while I ride my board. Ooh, that's a car, hold on. Alright, so that's number one. Watch out for vehicles or pretty much anything motorized. It's going to be a bit difficult because they're not going to watch for you, so you got to watch for them. And you don't have anything reflective like bikes or scooters would have, so you're going to have to be extra careful or just wear something highly visible. And there's a few cautions to go along with this. So for one, there's holes like that. Now I have the wide wheels on my skateboard that come standard with all long boards or certain other types of boards that you would get. So it's a lot easier for me to go over these cracks in the pavement, like right here, than it would be for, let's say, a normal skateboard or one with thinner wheels. And it's also a lot easier to go over objects or rocks and things like this. See, it just kind of crushes it. Whereas a normal skateboard, that smaller wheels will probably just kind of get caught up or it would slow you down. I can just go right over them. However, that doesn't mean I'm impervious to all of them. If there's a big enough gap or a big enough thing to catch the wheelbase, such as that grate right there, it can and will stop you. So that's a main safety consideration. Watch out for anything that can catch your wheels or anything wide enough to jam them, like grass, gravel roads, or a particularly torn up piece of concrete, anything like that. And as always, watch out for pedestrians because you are moving significantly faster than them and nobody likes to get run over. Just be courteous, slow down, or maybe even start walking if people are in front of you. Alright, and now I've taught you all you need to know about how to ride your skateboard, what you should look into for what you want out of your skateboard. So now, all you gotta do is get out there, practice, and have fun. So what are you waiting for? Let's go.